feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy. That's more success, you know we thriving, ayy. That's more depression for our rivals, ayy. Could teach a lesson on survival, ayy. You know I'm from the bottom.
Welcome back, wealthy people. It's another beautiful Wednesday. It is your boy, your man with the plans from the land of Louisiana, David Ballard. I'm here with my brother from another, Jalen Clark. Jalen, what's ham with you, brother?
What's out? By the way, bro, you can't keep on saying from the land of Louisiana. You live in Dallas now. You've been in Dallas for a little minute.
Man,
So
I'ma always be from where I'm from.
But,
you feel me? Nah. Are you from Houston? You live in
No.
Houston, but you from
I'm not.
Opelousas. Your origin is always your origin.
I know, but you're not coming from Louisiana right now. You in Dallas.
But I'm saying where I'm from. You know, I'm coming from Dallas right now, but where I'm from, you feel me? In my spirit, I'm from the boot, you know, Church Point, Louisiana.
I ain't gonna get into semantics because I ain't gonna get my spirit all riled up early in this broadcast. You feel me?
Oh, man, you the one started with me. But how you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling great, dog. I'm blacktastic, feeling amazing. Your boy passed his CompTIA.
Let's
Cybersecurity Plus. So yeah. Matter of fact, that is a long let's go. Yeah.
Because I'm proud of you, my boy. That's why.
Appreciate you, man.
Go, man. You know, it's been a long time in the making, for real. My boy Jalen been putting in that work in the background.
Yeah, studying,
you know, working. Hey, I told you I'm proud of you, bro. You've been managing fatherhood. You got the CompTIA pass. One step closer.
Yes, sir. So, anybody out there hiring, I have been building soft skills, technical skills as well while acquiring my certification. So that's something that's been pretty good. Something that's fresh in my life, man. Besides that, bro, just been enjoying it. Once again, recently had a birthday, so feeling great off of that. Spent some time with my wife. Just had a weekend with me and her where we got to just relax and just enjoy each other's company. So, man, I'm great, dog. I really can't complain.
Hey, man, that's lovely, dog. I always love to hear it, man. No complaints on my end either, man. You know, back in the same old grind. This week was, you know, another week. I worked today, worked every day. You know what I'm saying? It's storm season. I'm in the IA world still, so I'm getting it. But last weekend was dope. Got a chance to take a break from the everyday grind and go hang out with my family. My little cousin got married, actually. And they decided to do the wedding in the yard. Now, I just say I'm from Louisiana. You know, I'm country folk. We be doing everything ourselves. And let me tell y'all, from the moment I touched down to the moment I got my truck to leave, your boy was in that sun working, dog. I came back 2 shades a little bit more tan, you know, so I got a little bit more chocolate on me. I'm closer to you now, you feel me?
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Hey, I'm a little bit closer, you know what I'm saying? I take my watch off, you'll see I look light skin right here. It made me realize a lot, though.
That's why I say you from Dallas. You ain't from Louisiana no more.
Nah,
that boy
man.
used to that AC now.
Hey, I've been inside too long, but it was very good to, you know, be with family, you know, do something. I think it's very powerful. That's something I appreciate about my family, is that we can come together to do stuff for each other. I think a lot of times, you know, in our community, that's something that's overlooked. We often say stuff like we can't do business with family, but you should be able to coordinate and build with your family. You know, like everybody came in, we put a hand in, aunties was serving the food, cousins setting up for the wedding, you know, and it just comes together. That community is always valued, and it really reminds me what we here for, man. You know, just in general, I want the audience that we build to feel like family, that we can build together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. That's one thing that I definitely love about being from Louisiana. Just that close-knit family, being able to fall back on one another and really just help each other out in your times of not just need, but in your times whenever you need someone to depend on and lean upon. So I love it, brother. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So let's get this episode popped off, man. So I actually want to start this episode with something. I went to church today, went to church this morning, got that good word in. Me and the family, we went to church.
Praise him.
Yes, sir. So actually Pastor had a message where the theme of the message is preparation. It ain't easy, but it's necessary. So basically he's just talking about, being prepared for the moment or being prepared for your opportunity. And a few things that he said that kind of stuck out to me while I was sitting there was, one thing he said is, unless a man has trained for a chance, the chance will make him look ridiculous. That stuck out to me. I was like, man, that's powerful right there.
Yeah, because what was that thing? If opportunity is what luck is where opportunity meets preparation. You weren't prepared, so you're not lucky.
Yes, sir. And it just made me think of a lot of instances, right, where people say, oh, I have bad luck, or, I have no luck. But in actuality, you might have luck. You just weren't prepared whenever that luck came around or whenever your opportunity came around, right? And that's something I was talking about the other day with our market manager on the call, because I had a really great month this past month. I was like one of the top in the market. And he was like, hey, what did you do differently? I was like, well, for one, I was really aggressive with setting up events, but also some of it was luck, was me just being ready for whenever the luck struck, right? I gave my cards out to a lot of people. Whenever they called me and they say they was ready for something, I was there. I was like, how can I make myself available? And what can I do to get this deal done for you? So the preparation, what you need to do to succeed. But I also think about that from the financial aspect and like the entrepreneurial aspect of what we do with Black Earth Renaissance, right? Are you prepared for an influx of cash? Are you prepared for a financial blessing, right? Are you prepared for that big client? Are you prepared for that big opportunity? Or will that opportunity make or break your business? Or will it actually derail you from your financial goals because you haven't put in the work and built up the one discipline and habits that it takes to actually take hold of that opportunity? And two, once again, do you want to sacrifice your reputation if you fall through with this client on the business side?
Yeah, you cooking, bro. You cooking, because whenever you say it, the opportunity and preparation, it really makes me think about that conversation about sports and how Black people view sports differently than white people, right? Like how they treat it. So a lot of times in our community, sports is looked at as a meal ticket, right? You want to make it to the league, and if you don't make it, you're a failure. So we go into it with this all or none mentality and that idea of bad luck, right? Whereas like, oh, I'm not lucky, but I went to school at like a mid college school, right? Nobody that made it was lucky. Everybody that made it, to your point, was prepared to be lucky. There was the people that was practicing all the time and doing the extra things that weren't required of them, right? And I think a lot of times in our community, we take sports and we think about it as a meal ticket instead of doing like in white communities, they put their kids in sports to take out the lessons from it, take out the principles. That idea of what you're talking about, a practice, right? If you want to get good at anything, it takes repetition. How often do you practice? It makes me think about this too. I played football from the time I was 8 to the time I was 21-ish. As I kept going to higher levels, I was required to practice more. So you had to continually practice. And it definitely, whenever we talk about, not being prepared for some of these blessings, we talk about finances. What does that look like? You want to make a bunch of money. You're ready to close that big deal, but you're not doing the legwork of reaching out and making those cold calls. You're not following the financial principles of doing things like paying yourself first and actively managing and keeping a budget so that you can be prepared whenever you have an overflow. Because we done both been there before, where you done got a kind of a bigger windfall of cash than you used to dealing with. And a lot of times, the easiest first thing for your mind to go to is to spend because you never prepared to deal with having an inflow. But if you have a structure, you have a framework in place of how you gonna handle this. I'm gonna pay myself first. I'm gonna take 20% of this before I do anything. I'm gonna put it in the savings. Okay, that leaves me with 80% of it. Well, I got this little debt over here. Let me put some of it toward debt so I can knock that down, or maybe I can knock out the lowest debt so I not dealing with that payment anymore. It's a lot of things like that. That's the preparation that I think about whenever we talk about that, and it is good because it makes me reflect a lot. When you talk about that, like
Facts.
what
That's what
we're
I was
doing in
doing.
business.
Yeah, that's what I was doing in church. Definitely reflecting. I'm glad you brought up the part about practice, about how white people, black people, and other ethnicities look at sports, what they tend to take out of it. Because another thing that he said while up there is game day is not the time for practice. Game day is not the day that you prepare. That's whenever you showed up already prepared, right? You already know. I've been through this scenario so many times in practice that I'm already ready for it whenever it's time for the game day, right? You just said
Facts.
something about real estate cold calling. And I immediately thought about this as I was sitting in church. I was like, how can you apply this to real estate? I was like, maybe that's okay. You thought you didn't have a good deal, but maybe you just didn't analyze enough deals, right? Maybe you have not gone through enough deals to know what a good deal look like. Maybe you thought of closing this deal with one strategy. Maybe you thought it was good for a burst strategy. But if you would have analyzed enough deals, you would know that, hey, I can actually use this other strategy instead of using a bird. Maybe I can use this as a wholesale, or I can do something. I feel like that's what all of the creme de la creme, the people that rise to the top. You said something that was very important. You said they do things even whenever it's not required of them, or even whenever it's not necessary, whenever people aren't
Facts.
looking, right? Are you putting in the work when nobody's looking? Are you actually doing what you need to do whenever it doesn't matter, whenever the spotlight isn't on you? That's when the true preparation comes into play. And that's all I was thinking about as I was sitting over there, right? Like I'm talking about the cybersecurity thing. I'm still putting in the work, even though I've passed this test. I'm still putting in the work to try to learn how to hack stuff and everything now. Same thing. How can I apply this to everything in my life, right? How can I apply me putting in the work whenever the spotlight is not on me, and whenever any type of opportunity presents itself, I'm ready to take hold of it. So there's definitely some things that I was thinking about too, David. How can we apply this to our business?
Yeah, man. Cause that fake it till you make it shit ain't it. Everybody that fake it till they make it, eventually it came out that they was faking it.
Facts.
So that just like I said, man, it's definitely that's a strong note to start off on, man. I love it. And speaking of people faking it, man, I think that's a good way for us to roll the tide next in our first topic of the show,
Wait,
bro.
it was one more thing I wanted to talk about before we really, really get deep into the show.
Okay.
And it's probably something you ain't think about. I do want to say, I want to give a moment of silence or commemorate those that all lost their lives in the Tulsa massacre back in 1921. Yesterday, May 31st, was actually the anniversary of it. So it's been
Well, damn.
yeah,
I
it's been
did not know that.
104 years since then, brother.
Damn, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, you got me sad now, bro.
And hey, man, it is sad, but something that I have seen is there are a few white people, honestly, which is crazy to me. They said that they didn't even know that this happened on American soil, but they got educated about it, and the way that it just kind of like changed their perspective and things like that was really interesting. Which is why I do hate that they're doing this with
Yeah,
this
what they're doing right now. That's
with
why
this
what they're doing right
critical,
now is
yeah,
dangerous
with
with
this critical
removing
race theory and all of these things,
shit,
because
removing
it's a
the
part of
Black
American
History
history.
exhibit
Yeah.
from the Smithsonian. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
definitely crazy. Like
One
you
of them was
said.
Tom Hanks, actually.
Oh, I could believe that. Tom Hanks always been a solid white guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. That's what I really remember him as. That's his best role to me.
But yeah, so I did want to just, give a moment of silence. Like I said, send my heart out to all those that lost their lives in Black Wall Street. I think there's still like 1 or 2 survivors left of that tragic night. So my heart goes out to them.
Yes, indeed. Well, all right, guys. So before we get into it, make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review. We need that to continue to grow the show and get our message out there to the people, right? So first topic of the day, let's get into it. We were talking about, the fake it till you make it culture. And one of the things that people have been faking until they make it is their lifestyle. And one of the ways they've been affording that is through things like Klarna and Afterpay, because they got this business model that let them do, buy now, pay later. But really these days it's looking more like buy now, pay never. Right.
Talk to me.
What's going on, right? So Klarna, the buy now, pay later giant, I think they're the leading one. They posted a $99 million net loss in Q1 of 2025, which was more than double of what they lost last year. So right now, that business model, the buy now, pay later, where you can split things into 4 interest-free payments. There's several platforms that do it: Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. There's a bunch of them, right? But right now, it's becoming, more unstable because, as we've been talking about over the past few weeks, credit, people are defaulting more and more in today's economy. And right now, the global trade, there's a lot of economic uncertainty. So as people, and the cost of living, always, the cost of living is far outpacing what wages have been. So all that economic pressure is starting to show up, and people are defaulting on these buy now, pay later loans. So we're going to get into it today, how, this is going to affect the space, and how really with black folks, this is something that they've been trying to push on us, and why it's so problematic for us, right? So before we get into the topic, I just want to show a clip of somebody. This y'all people, Jalen, this your people, man. Talking about how they feel about these buy now, pay laters. Yeah, I think it's your cousin, man. I seen her. Man. You want to see her? Let me show you your cousin, man.
I don't know who the hell you talking about, dog.
Man, let me show you your cousin, man. Your cousin tweaking, dog.
I might swerve in that corner. Whoa. That ain't no cousin of mine.
Bitch, I didn't want to pay you to begin with. That's why I made it full payment. I want these clothes and these shoes right now. All $400 worth of these clothes, I want it right now for $100. But I don't want to give you $400. I will pay him for $60. I don't care. But don't be telling me thank you for taking your money. I done forgot about your ass. Here you come a week or 2 later, taking more money from leave me alone. I already wore the clothes. You want to buy it? I don't like y'all, and I signed up for the shit. But still, I still be getting the attitude. Something about it just don't feel right. Don't be emailing me after the fact. Transaction is done.
Okay, but man, your cousin tweaking, dog. You see what I'm saying?
That ain't my cousin. That's your kinfolk.
Man, that's your people, dog. Your people want to use this buy now, pay later. They want to use Affirm and Afterpay. And like they said, that's how a lot of people really feel about this type of stuff. Like, she kind of saying it in jest, but that's really how people feel. And that's something that I think I warned about a couple weeks back whenever we were talking about something similar.
We've been talking about Affirm and Afterpay for the longest, brother. I ain't going to lie to you.
Hey, look.
We've been talking about them.
Because it's not a good idea for most people, bro. When we really think about it, the idea of splitting your payment into 4, I think it was whenever we were talking about, the DoorDash partnership with Afterpay. Yeah. Whenever you're splitting these payments into 4, it may seem like a good idea at the time, but that's the part of your brain thinking, ooh, I could keep this money for later.
Instant gratification.
And then you just spend the fucking money that you had. Man, it's a beautiful clip. I should have pulled that one up instead, man. Of this dad. It's a black dad who was teaching his teenage son about money. And he told his son, listen, son, if you can't afford the DoorDash 3 times over, you shouldn't buy the DoorDash, right? So at first it seemed like he wasn't paying attention, whoop-de-whoop. Then like 2-3 weeks later, it's like, I got the money to get the DoorDash, but I don't want the DoorDash because it's $38 for a $12 meal. You know, like that type of
It's
thought
sunk in.
process is what we need more grown ass people to develop. Because what this has done to the community, I think like people think this is free eats because it hadn't been reporting to their credit and stuff like that. That shit, the rules around this shit's gonna change soon. The rules around this shit gonna change soon for sure.
So I will say this. I did see that the default rate on buy now, pay later loans is much lower than credit cards. I don't know if you knew that. I'm trying to find the exact quote.
I can believe that, but because credit cards are different types of financial tools. Like people are max out a credit card. I don't even know if you can max out Klarna and Afterpay. Like, do they give you a limit with this type of stuff too?
That part I do not know. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Maybe they do, but the big difference between Klarna and credit cards also is it's not as regulated. So the reason they probably not defaulting as much is because who has oversight over it, you know? Like who is, because this doesn't technically count as a line of credit and it hasn't been reporting on people's credit. That's been a big thing about the buy now, pay later spaces.
But I thought it does. So from whenever I was reading it, so whenever you initially like go for the loan, like, you know, apply for it or whatever, or like try to collateralize it, get it, it's a soft credit check. So it doesn't impact your credit report.
It won't show as like a revolving credit balance on your report either.
But they do still encourage you to be responsible because if you maintain on time and positive repayment history, they're saying it can strengthen your credit history. But, you know, if you don't, then it can negatively affect your history as well.
But I don't think it's hitting people like how charge-offs are hitting. And that's why we have so many people like the young lady that showed in the video, because she's not the only one. It's a slew of TikTok videos of people that share the same sentiment, right? I love the idea of buy now, pay later. I want the shit now. But once I get it and I've possessed it, I don't want to pay y'all the rest of this money. Y'all get one, maybe two payments. And after that, maybe I put y'all on a card that only had a certain amount of dollars on it. So once
you
the money out
that
the
they
account,
just can withdraw from your bank account where they ACH in it?
what if they put it on a Cash App card or something like that?
But typically, places like that, they require you to ACH out of like an account or something.
You might be able to put a card on it. Like I said, I don't use these platforms for that reason. The only thing I have used it on Chase because Chase offers it.
Really?
Yeah, Chase offered it to me, and I was like, okay, let me see, because I kept seeing it, like paying for it. Oh, okay, and then it gave me like $200 credit, and it splits it up. But at the same time, unless you're strapped for cash, it's not really a wise option because you're gonna have to pay that back at a later date, and you might not be accounting for it. The easiest part to do is forget about it after you've already gotten what you need done. Like, you don't think, most people aren't putting it on a calendar and thinking about, you know, the next date this is due.
Because from what old girl was just saying in that video, it sounded like she was saying that they just hit her account and she ain't remember that shit was coming out. Is what it sounds like. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what happens to most people. They get it, then it hit that, because like, okay, the first week after it, I think that you gotta pay a down payment when you get it, right? And then it might be a week or 2 weeks after that they pay it. So if you setting it every other week, life happens, bro. A week of time go by, and if you don't have this written down on a calendar or something, you done forgot about that. So you over here.
Nigga, life happening whenever they want their money back. Run me that.
But that's why I don't use them shits, man. I think I told a story about when I used a program like that to
for your BMW.
That BMW. Man, that shit pissed me off in December when that payment came. I said, I'm not done with this shit yet. God, man.
Nigga hit the Tyrese. What more do you want from me?
I'm telling you, Michelle, Jesus, dog.
That's hilarious.
I was over it, bro. I was so over it. So I 100% get it, but with this whole buy now pay later thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of the people who are using it are younger millennials and Gen Z, and we've discussed extensively on the podcast the economic disadvantages that we've had. So with that knowledge, right, we gotta move smarter, bro. We can't get so caught up in the instant gratification lifestyle. I understand, we all want to go on trips, we want to go on vacations, we want to do these things. And sometimes these tools can be useful. But if you don't have the actual capital to float it, or like you don't have the adequate savings to do it, that's usually the people that's ending up defaulting. And that's the people that need to try to stay away from these things. Go back and read a book like Richest Man in Babylon, like we was discussing on episode that was released last week, man. Like you got to have some level of discipline to the way you're gonna deal with your finances.
Honestly, what we was just talking about at the beginning of this episode, brother.
Facts.
Discipline and them habits.
Facts. So now let's just talk about their business model more, because the way this loss has happened is crazy, right? So, they make their money off of merchant fees and the late fees. And it really depends on a bunch of people being in the system. But if nobody paying back,
it's a volume-based game.
Yeah, if nobody paying back, it don't really matter. So how they end up with all these people that's not paying them, right? So Klarna started using an AI instead of having actual customer service representatives.
They actually laid off 700 customer service representatives.
Congratulations. You played yourself. So they thought, hey, we're going to use AI. We always hear AI is smarter than us, is better than us. But we've talked about it.
Tell you what's
AI,
crazy
the dangers of it.
Klarna came out. I was watching the Waveform podcast. Shout out to Marquez Brownlee. But these niggas was basically saying that Klarna has identified themselves as an AI company that just so happens to operate within the financial space.
We sounding real WeWorkish right now. It's sounding bad. It's sounding real bad. That you remember when WeWork was like, actually, we're a technology company that's really just a co-working space. That sounds like the same shit, just wrapped up a different way. So Klarna, how much money did you bastards lose? You lost $99 million in that
Q1
first quarter versus $47 million in Q1 of 2024. Crazy work. $136 million in consumer credit losses, which is a 17% increase. But their revenue grew, right? Their revenue grew to $701 million, but these larger losses, they're still not profitable. And anytime, a lot of these volume-based companies, these unicorn companies like we talk about, what keeps them in business is investor capital. But if you start having trends like this, investors lose confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because
what's crazy is, so how you just talk about their revenue grew, right? So I was reading an article from Afrotech, and one of the spokespersons from the company said, bear in mind that we made 13% more loans than we did a year ago. But all else being equal, you expect credit losses to increase by at least 13% as well. So once again, it's moving at a net negative, or like just a flat line. If you made 13% more loans, why are you expecting 13% more losses? Wouldn't you want to hedge your risk to where your losses are actually lower than the pace that you're growing at?
That's very factual. And as you say that, it makes me think about like they said they made that $700 million, and this was their losses while cutting staff. Think about that. So you saved a lot of money cutting 700 employees, and you still lost twice as much as what you thought. I think that speaks a lot to the AI hype right now.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we get a little high on AI. Same thing that happened with fucking NFTs and every other fucking new hot thing whenever we first start getting in the mainstream media. AI is a fantastic tool. I think it can do amazing things. We've seen movies, videos. The video quality is getting scary these days.
It is scary as shit.
It's getting scary with the videos. But like overall, when it comes to information and processing, you can still tell most of the time for AI. Like it's like, okay, this information was generated by a large language model.
Mm-hmm.
They're not perfect. I think
they hallucinate a lot. Honestly.
We give them so much credit, and they're not perfect. And I think that's a direct result of these losses they take. Like you said, that 13% uptick, because the AI model you had probably was just accepting everybody. It was just letting motherfuckers in. Motherfucker probably had a 4 credit score. They didn't care. just let them in.
I think it say a 4 credit score.
we'll give them $50.
Oh, this nigga just wants some DoorDash anyway.
Yeah, we'll give him $50. You know what I'm saying? What's 50?
Let him get his little funky ass Taco Bell with us.
Split his payment of $750 into 4 payments.
Shit,
bro, it made me think of this nigga I've been seeing on Instagram talking about. Hey, he on a run right now. He be making his little ugly face filter, be talking about broke niggas. I think I sent you one of his videos.
I don't know. I gotta see him.
He was talking about the nigga that's always trying to bum for roses.
Oh,
and
I
stuff
do
like.
know what you're talking. I do. He is on the run right now.
Bro,
he is on the run.
He be like, "Come on, gang, take me to the plasma center." That's the type of niggas that's got them 4 credit scores. If your hustle is selling your plasma, hey dog, come fuck with us. We can show you a better way. That's all I gotta say. Listen to the show. If y'all know somebody like that, send them the show. We some cool niggas, I think. Y'all like us enough. Y'all be listening to us. You know what I'm saying? Share this with a friend. You feel me?
That's hilarious.
But yeah, back to Klarna and what's going on.
I do want to say one more thing that a spokesperson said that I pulled from that article on Afrotech.
Mm-hmm.
Spokesperson confirms that the company's losses were a result of the IPO and rather now receiving a payment from its customers. So he's saying the main reason we made a loss was a one-time share payment to employees related to the IPO, not credit losses. Excluding this payment, depreciation, and restructuring costs, Klarna made an adjustment operating profit of $3 million for the quarter.
Sound good.
Yeah, I still call cap on that shit.
Yeah, it sound good. You know what I'm saying? Sound like y'all did some accounting work to make sure that, you know, we don't look too bad on paper. But if y'all lost 37 M's in 2024, and y'all have to pay something associated with the IPO to people, yeah, you know, that's great. You paid staff, but you cut 700 people. And to contradict that, studies show that as much as 40% of buy now, pay later people have defaulted at least on one payment in the last year. So like you missed a payment or you defaulted on something in the last year. Missed payments, that's actually, you know, kind of good for them. Missed payments mean they collect interest. But some of those people is getting charged off.
Because they want the late fees and all of these other
things. That's what they want.
They make their money.
That's how they make their money. They offer it to you in 4 payments, you know, if you do it.
But they're banking on you not paying it in those 4 payments in all actuality.
Yep. And people be so, I think the dangerous part of it is people get addicted to it.
Damn.
People get addicted to using for paying for it. So when I was looking, you know, through the TikTokers, like your sister over yonder, your
bro,
cousin.
that lady ain't got no relationship to me.
Oh man, yeah. But Jalen cousin, she was tweaking. But they got a lot of people on there that was like saying the same thing. Like, you know, I'm addicted to paying for it. It just it's so convenient. You know, it's so good that I can split this payment into 4 because I don't be having money like that. And I think it just creates a perpetual cycle.
You ain't gonna never have money. You ain't gonna never have no
fucking
shit like
money.
that.
Because you always mortgaging off your future wages for instant gratification.
Nigga,
that's worse. That's worse than payday loans.
It's really just a revolutionized version of a payday loan, if you ask me. It's just changed forms, bro. How Pimp C said,
and
credit
Credits
Pimping
had a
ain't dead.
baby.
It just moved to the internet. These niggas still pimping the hood. It ain't, nigga, it just don't look like a liquor store on the corner. It don't look like the check cashing place. Nah, it's just all in your apps, nigga.
Hey, you spitting right there. And also, just to call more cap on that statement about their $3 million profit, they was slated to do an IPO this year, and they postponed it.
I know. They postponed it. They said it's because of tariffs is why they postponed it.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, I hear a whole bunch of excuses.
It sounds like they're using all the shit that's in the news as an excuse.
The most shittiest part about this whole thing to me is what the CEO did for their earnings call, nigga.
What do you do, bro?
This nigga did a deep fake or just an AI avatar to present the earnings, bro.
So he used a fake video of himself instead of standing up there?
AI generated video of himself.
So it looked like what? Some DreamWorks shit or something with AI?
I didn't watch it, but I know it's I can look it up real quick. Klarna CEO AI avatar.
That's crazy. That nigga used the iPhone emoji to share the thing because he was embarrassed. That's why he didn't want to show his face. He was nervous. And nigga like, man, they go see.
No, it's one of those hyper realistic videos.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, so
so you couldn't even say it yourself for real. So you made an AI version of you to say the shit.
Yep.
Damn.
Yes, sir. And once again, that was their call saying that, hey, we're AI company. You can find that article on TechCrunch, techcrunch.com. Just type in Klarna CEO AI and then go to TechCrunch.
Man, you supposed to show it to me what it looked like.
Oh, I got you. Hold on.
Yeah, let the people see. I don't think
it actually shows the full video.
If y'all don't know, we actually have a whole channel on YouTube. If you don't follow us there, you can see our beautiful faces and see some of the things that we share on the screen on YouTube. So if you aren't already, if you're just a listener of the show, an avid listener, we already love and appreciate you. But we also on YouTube. Come check your boys out over there. Subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Leave us a like. All that good stuff. 5-star rating and review. Also, you know what we're saying? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Guten Tag and hola. It's me, or rather, my AI avatar, here to share Klarna's Q1 2020.
Nigga mouth talking like in the Chinese movies.
Year strong, and three things really stand out. One, we've hit 100 million active consumers, the fastest growth we've seen in years. Two, Klarna just delivered its fourth consecutive profitable quarter. And three, AI is now deeply embedded across our business, unlocking efficiency and record-setting growth.
Man, cut this shit off, man. I don't want to see no more of this shit, man.
That shit look terrible. Nigga.
This shit looks awful. This not even good AI. They got really good AI out there now. Like, I seen Jalen a video on Instagram the other day. Scary. That, man, I'm done talking about Klarna, man. I think this is going to end bad. People going, hey, all I'm going to say, get your budget together. Last week or the week before, we talked about budgeting. We always talk about budget. We always talk about this shit, man. If you listening to this show and you ain't got no damn budget and you've been trying to do spreadsheets, you don't have time, look at the show notes. Monarch Money. Hey, how you liking it, by the way, bro? I know I gave
pretty
it to
good, brother.
You see what I'm saying? Just say you get some time. You know,
it does.
That adding the transactions up manually, you know, I understand. It really make you get a real understanding of how much you spending. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, time is your most valuable asset.
Yes.
I think
that's a good strategy to get started. I think it's a good practice to put in,
build discipline,
and then transition into something like Monarch for sure.
That's a fact, because
I just don't think that's a scalable solution for anybody, like where you'll be able to do this.
Because who has 2 hours every Sunday to do their budget? Let's be real. Every Sunday you're gonna spend I ain't gonna say 2 hours. If you do it every Sunday, it probably take you 45 minutes.
Yeah,
but if you do it once a month,
it'll
take you 2.5, 3 hours.
Facts. So yeah, y'all definitely budget. Let's move on past.
Link in the show notes to Monarch Money. So next topic. We talking about budgeting. So in that same light, one thing I've been wanting to talk about on the pod for a while now is alternative ways to save money. A lot of times we talk about having an emergency fund, and I think saving is one of the most important things that we can do in our community. I think it's very important that we save money before you invest. You should learn how to save, because if you don't know how to let money sit anywhere, you can't make your money grow. Because a big part of investing is sitting there and letting your money grow over time. Um, and we always want to keep our capital liquid when we talk about a savings emergency fund, right? So with an emergency fund, you new to the show, most financial planners recommend that you have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up, just on the in case of, you
Yeah.
lose a job, a big life event happens, you fall ill. You never know what happens, right? So it's always wise to put money away. That's why we always discuss paying yourself first. It's one of the best habits and practices that you can use to start building that emergency fund. And what that means is, no matter what money you get, if it's, your first check you coming out of your job is $500, take 10% of it, put 50% away. It's not a big difference between 90% and 100% of your money. But that practice, that habit of saving money, is one of the biggest and best things you can do on your financial literacy and wealth building journey. But once you've mastered that skill, a lot of times we get into the habit of just letting our money sit dead in bank
And a
accounts,
traditional, yeah.
in a traditional savings account that we know pays less than 0.01% interest in most cases. So like, you could have $100,000 sitting in there and you might earn what, $1 or $2 off of it.
I ain't gonna lie. Having $100,000 sitting in the bank is crazy if you ask me.
There are people that have it. There are people that have 20, 30, 40,000 sitting in the bank, and it's not earning them anything. So like, why the reason I want to get into this topic is because there are options available to us, and a lot of times our people die for the lack of knowledge, or we thirst for the lack of knowledge. We don't have or aren't exposed to these things. So
Mhm.
there's a few options that you have available to you that you can use that offer anywhere between 4 and 6% annual return, which for a savings account is fairly good. Like, for an account that is stable, not all of them are traditional savings accounts. So let me get that out the way, right? But four
What
to
do you
six
mean they're
percent.
not all traditional savings accounts?
So some of these are different vehicles. So there are 5 vehicles I want to go over today. High yield savings
Got
accounts.
you. I thought you were still referring to the high yield. I was like, what do you mean? But I got you.
No. Yeah, high yield savings accounts, money market accounts, treasury bills, CDs, and lastly, stable coins for my crypto people, right? These are 5 different ways that you can securely and safely put your money away and get a better return than what you're going to get at the bank. That's really all and ideally what the point of this conversation is, right? So, starting at the top, high yield savings account, sometimes abbreviated as HYSA. So a high yield savings account is essentially an online savings account. Some of the highest you'll find are up to 5.25% annual percentage yield. So that's 5.25% over the year. If you want to know how much that pays monthly, take the 5.25 divided by 12. But honestly, a lot of these high yield savings accounts and some of these other accounts like that, the APY fluctuates throughout the year.
Hmm.
So
It
it's not,
depends on what the
yeah,
market is doing, interest rates of the market, and everything like that.
exactly. But still better than what you're getting in a traditional savings, right? So one of the benefits of HYSA is they're super easy to open. There are a lot of online only banks that offer it. SoFi and Ally are 2 off the top of my head that I can think of, but your local banks may also offer high yield savings accounts. They just banks, credit unions, people, all kinds of financial institutions offer these. Usually they're non brick and mortar locations because they don't have the overhead associated with it, so they're able to offer that better return yield. And the FDIC insured, accessible, and if when we start talking about that first 0 to 3 months of your expenses, that's a good option for you, right? A high yield savings account instead of leaving it in that traditional, because for illustrative purposes, right? Say you are getting a 5% on the year, you got $10,000 in a regular savings account. Let's just do that real quick. 10,000 times 0.01. That's $100, right? But if you got $10,000 and you're doing it at the 5%, that's
That's 500.
0.0525. That's $50.
You said 10,000?
Oh, I put 1,000. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so $525.
that's a big difference. That's a big
Huge difference. You know
in
what I'm
earning.
saying? Yeah, huge difference. Appreciate you checking on that too,
No
brother.
problem.
So other option, money market accounts, cash sweep deposit accounts. These are accounts that are kind of similar to high yield savings accounts, but with a couple of them, they're usually held through brokerages, and they'll give you the ability to basically invest in an account that also has some checking account features.
Mhm.
So it's really not,
So you can have checks, you can have a debit card. It's easier to access than a traditional savings account.
So it serves the purpose of what you need for an emergency fund, right? Liquid capital, because that capital is liquid, and as long as it's sitting, you're earning interest, and the interest is sometimes lower than a high yield savings account. Obviously, if you're trading off some of that interest earned for that flexibility. And those cash sweep accounts, I was looking into one that Fidelity offers. You know, they don't charge a fee. There's no interest on it or anything like that. I mean, no, they're not charging you a fee to manage it or interest.
Are there
on
minimums that you need to have?
No minimums on that one either. And the way it works, there's the cash sweep account, which any undeposited funds, that you have, they'll just pay you like anything that's not deposited in, say, like a money market account. They'll pay you a set interest rate on that money once a month. And that's kind
a
of
sweep account.
Yeah, sweep account. And sweep accounts and money market accounts are pretty similar.
Gotcha.
They just kind of pay different rates. The money market has less checking features than the cash sweep account, but they both can be invested into.
And when you say they have less checking feature, is it just meaning that one of them you can use it more? So like maybe the money market account, they limited you to 5-6 withdrawals a month versus the cash sweep, you get more withdrawals, more access to the cash.
Exactly that. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of some of the difference. The money market are higher, less flexibility, offer a little higher percentage. Cash sweep still offering better than that savings. So that's another option. The third one, Treasury bills. So those are government backed securities. You know what they say. Even though the U.S. just got its credit rate rated downgraded by Moody's.
Which I'll go into that later because I was looking into that a little bit too. Remind me to get back into the downgrade.
Okay, we will. So even though the U.S. just got its credit rated downgraded by Moody's, the U.S. is still notoriously one of the most consistent and best customers in the world. They've never missed their bills, and T-bills are short-term debt that you're paying for. You're loaning money to the government in increments of time so that you're able to buy them from Treasury direct, and they have different percentage rates. They're bought in an auction, and they're in different terms, right? So you can buy a 4-week, 6-week, 8-week, 13-week, 17-week, 26-week, or 52-week T-bill. At the end of that period, when it matures, you receive the interest on top of whatever you paid for it. I believe they're sold at a discount at the auction. So the way it works is whatever interest it is you earn on it, they just discount the interest from the total cost of the T-bill. And they're sold in increments of $100. So say like you want to buy one T-bill for $100 and your interest rate on it was 2%. You would pay $98 for it, and at the end of that period, it would be worth the $100. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. It does make sense.
Okay.
So from whenever I was looking at it, like you said, it'll sell at $100, but you might get a different interest rate. You might get a 5% or 2%, and you're paying, and at the end, you're making up that difference.
Yeah. And usually the longer term ones have higher interest rates, the shorter term ones, lower interest rates, just that flexibility trade-off. But again, better than savings. If you took the same example, the $10,000, and you bought $10,000 worth of bond T-bills at $100 a piece, that's 100 of them, right? So 100 T-bills, you paid in that same example, 9,800, you earn 200 on it, saying that's in 4 weeks. It's pretty damn good in a month. You know what I'm saying? $200 in a month. It's pretty damn good off of your money. And that was risk free. Your capital wasn't really tied up for long, still pretty liquid. So that's another option for those who have money just sitting in an emergency fund and a growing amount of money. You know, that's another way you can get more bang for your buck. Another option
And
always.
I like that you're bringing these things up because it's real practical stuff that doesn't require you to be super technical, like investing or anything like that. It's literally just parking your money in certain accounts. Many of these accounts are FDIC insured. And like you said, the T-bills is one, not a long vesting period, but two, you're investing into U.S. government.
Exactly. And another one, you know, that kind of similar, but not really, CDs. So most people are familiar with CDs. I think it's one of the first financial instruments I was introduced to.
Me too.
That was like one of the things that my parents had got for me. They got a CD, and I think they locked some money up for like 5 years, like $1,000, and it paid like 4% a year. So it came out to be more than what it was. But that's kind of how CDs work. You loan your money to a bank. It's called a certificate of deposit. You guarantee you're going to lock this money up for a set period of time. Similar to the T-bills, the longer period of time, the more interest that they're going to give you. And if these are funds that, you know, really, I would say these are more for those funds that you're pretty positive you wouldn't need to touch. If you just got your 3 months of expenses, I wouldn't say this is for you. This is more for like those people who got up to 6 months saved up. You can put your CDs in, and you can use a strategy called laddering to kind of maintain your liquidity. So people will get some short term, some longer term, and some really longer, like some midterm and longer ones. So like, say like they'll get some CDs, maybe one that lasts a year, another lasts 2 years, another lasts 5. And
So
that
you're
way,
still earning that interest, but you get access to the capital at different points in time.
exactly. But it's a lot less liquid than each of the prior things that we mentioned. Yeah, everything else, you know, even with the T-bills, if you want to sell it before, you can sell it.
You just won't get your full maturity interest rate.
Bingo. You can sell it before and get your money back, though, what you paid for it, more than likely. So
it's kind of like trading an asset.
Exactly. And lastly, my favorite option, something that I personally just started implementing myself, is using stable coins. So everybody knows on the show I'm a crypto bull. If you've been listening to it for a while, been a big crypto bull, been big fans of the space since we've entered into the finance realm. And I'm an investor in crypto. And recently I had that idea. I just noticed I wanted to de-risk some of my capital. Prior to all this stuff, I think whenever I shared with you guys on the show, when Warren Buffett was selling, and you know, I just kind of wanted to de-risk some capital around that same time. So that was one of the ways I de-risked. Was I took some of my earnings out of, I harvested some losses and took some of my earnings. I took losses out of shit coins. Stay away from shit coins, guys. I'm serious. Just stay away from them. Invest in Bitcoin. It works more times than not, but instead of investing in shit coins where you can lose your money, you can invest in stable coins. What stable coins are crypto tokens that are exchanged 1-to-1 for $1. So they're backed by dollars. So you know, just kind of how, you know, the US used to have the gold standard where every dollar was backed by an equal amount of gold. USDC is the same thing, but for crypto, where every USDC token is backed up by an actual US dollar. So there's a lot of stability, security there. The price remains as $1, but you still have access to that crypto ecosystem. So you can quickly exchange it to purchase crypto if you want to. But the reason I say it's a valuable and reasonable option for an alternative way to save is they also offer a pretty good interest rate on APY on platforms like Coinbase, Kraken.
What are you doing to get these interest rates, David?
So if you just own and hold the coin, you get interest on it.
So you don't have to actively stake it.
No, it's not like, you know, it's not like anything else. It's just as a part of the ecosystem. If you hold it, a reward for holding the coin, is on Coinbase is a 4.6% APY, similar to high yield savings accounts.
So that's
Those
only on Coinbase, or like is it all those other
the other
brokerages too?
platforms also offer it, but Coinbase is personally is the one I use, and it's like
Gotcha.
4.6%, and that does fluctuate throughout the year. But
And do you think that they're just giving you an interest because you're holding your money in their reserve, and they're kind of like counting that money as a part of their reserves?
yeah, and I think it's also part of the tokenomics, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look into it a bit deeper. I think just holding it, this might be of a like not a proof of stake, but it might be like a proof of stake type hybrid tokenomics model. Let me just look it up, man. I don't want to be talking out my ass.
Yeah, man. Don't nobody like whenever you start talking out your ass. It get real stink.
Hey, man, you ain't had to say that. I will fart. That bill be funky though. I ain't gonna hold nobody.
Well, while you looking that up, one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the credit rating. You brought it up earlier. You know, U.S. credit rating got downgraded by Moody's. But once again, whenever I was looking this up, I actually thought it was interesting because there's three rating agencies for sovereign credit ratings, right? And it's Fitch, Moody's, and Standards and Poor's. What I thought was interesting is Standards and Poor's in 2011 actually downgraded the U.S. from a triple A rating to a double A plus rating. Finch downgraded the U.S. in 2023 from a triple plus rating to a triple A rating to a double A plus.
So
And
Moody's wasn't the first.
no, Moody's was actually the last to get on board. And what they're stating is, you know, the two biggest concerns that they're seeing for the U.S. government is we're spending too much or overspending on Medicaid, Medicare, and the Social Security program. They're stating that those are the two largest deficits, and we are not bringing in any cash. The last time that the U.S. was in a net positive for the fiscal year was in 2001.
Damn.
So we've been operating at a deficit since 2002 and beyond.
I could believe that. Yeah, I
So
definitely believe that.
you got 2 decades of operating at losses, and all of these. Basically, what they're saying is it's not sustainable, and unless something is changed, U.S. government is headed for a shitstorm.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking good with that regard. But I still think, like, we're not going to default on those debts right away. The national debt has continued to bubble and skyrocket since then, and it's only gotten worse since the pandemic. And one thing we want to talk about later, I think it's going to continue to get worse if the One Big Beautiful Bill, or when the One Big Beautiful Bill likely passes. Is going to just exacerbate that issue. But I digress. Just real quick to wrap up the whole alternative savings conversation. Yeah, with Coinbase, they actually, like I just mentioned, they don't have a lockup. There's no staking that's involved. Now, in other platforms, you do staking. You can be in liquidity pools, so they use that money to loan out to other people. And if you invest in or leave yours in the liquidity pool, then you'll get probably a higher interest rate than what Coinbase is giving.
Gotcha.
But Coinbase's option is pretty viable and really virtually risk free because there's no lockup. So if you need the capital, you can swap it for dollars and get your money.
Is it a part? So it's not included in the tokenomics of stablecoins.
No, not at all.
It's just per platform.
Yeah, just per platform. Each platform is different.
Gotcha.
So it's not actually part of tokenomics. Tokenomics is just basically backing a 1-to-1 with the dollar, and then they burn just to make sure that the supply is, kind of maintained.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. I know we just used a few technical terms. Y'all go look into some crypto. We had to deep dive and learn all of this shit. Y'all go learn it too.
You feel me?
Burning and all of that.
You feel me? If you want to go down that far. But if you don't, I think every black person should own crypto. because it is the fastest growing asset class, and not shit coins, not no bullshit. Stick to the real ones, the ones that have been around for some time. They have some real proof of work concepts. They have
Bitcoin,
real projects that are built on them. Yeah, Bitcoin,
Ethereum,
Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. I'm not a big fan of Cardano, but they've been around. They've been pretty solid.
XRP.
USDC, XRP has been going crazy. Stick to the bigger projects. I always say Bitcoin is like the S&P of the crypto market. Whenever Bitcoin's up, everything's up. Whenever Bitcoin's down, everything's down. You can hit big licks on shit coins. Everybody wanted to hit, right? I think about Dogecoin all the fucking time with that. People were so fucking adamant
We're
in
not gonna get into
2021.
we're not gonna get into Doge again, man.
No, I got to real quick. They were so fucking adamant in 2021 that shit was gonna hit $1. And niggas was like, man, it's gonna hit $1. I'm like, bro, if that shit don't hit $1, you should probably sell it. Doge has never broken 30 cents again, I think, after that. After it peaked at 75. And there are people that's
when I
holding
knew
it.
Elon Musk was a piece of shit.
Facts. He hyped all them niggas up.
That's what I
Let
knew.
him
This
hold
nigga
the
was a
fucking bag.
piece of shit.
Bro, it's still niggas holding the bag. Think about this, right? In that same time frame, Bitcoin is fucking tripled.
Nah, that is crazy.
And niggas still holding on to Doge.
bought Doge and didn't fuck with Bitcoin.
Niggas
That's
still
wild.
holding on to Doge, holding out hope, hoping against hope that shit gonna work. Man, don't do it. Don't do it. Reconsider. Read some litter. Sure. On the subject.
You
Come
sure?
on.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Don't say fuck it. Go read, my nigga. Go read. But if you ain't ready to read, invest in Bitcoin.
You know we got your back like chiropract.
Yeah. Go invest in Bitcoin, though.
And if that coin do you dirty, we wipe it out in the hurry. Now hurry.
That's
Go
what
to
happened.
the altar.
That's what happened whenever you invest in the damn altcoins. When they rug pull your ass early.
Nah, facts. But bet. So those are the 5 alternative saving methods besides just traditional savings. Once again, I'm gonna run through the list. First one is a high yield savings account, otherwise known as a HYSA. Once again, you can look into SoFi, Ally. I know Capital One has one with Capital One 360. And then once again, sometimes your traditional institutions do offer them. Second was money market accounts offered by traditional banks and credit unions, slightly more flexible, and it's good for large balances. Third was the T-bills, which are short-term debt options, 4, 6, 8, 13, however many weeks, up to 52 weeks. And you can buy those through Treasury Direct or brokerage. Then number 4 was certificate of deposits. You lock those deposits up with a fixed yield. You can buy those from your bank, institutions, ideal for midterm. Portion of your emergency fund can go in there. Lastly was those stable coins that David was talking about, particularly USDC. You can lock those up, or you don't have to lock it up on Coinbase. But if you hold it in Coinbase, you can get about 4 to 6% return on your money and just switch it out and get liquid pretty quickly.
You feel me? Hey, look, man. Don't ever say BWI. I ain't never told you nothing. You know what we all about. We about giving the culture.
I want to give one last
information.
part about that, because you brought up laddering, but you can also kind of stagger or use a investment strategy or like an emergency fund strategy with all of these things by splitting
a combination of
by splitting these up. Right, you might have your 3-month savings in a high yield savings account or a money market account that's really liquid,
in a stable coin.
or a stable coin for David. Once again, so that 3 months emergency savings, you can have that in one of those accounts. So you're still able to be very liquid, but you can get those benefits of the better interest rates. And then you can do your T-bills or your CDs for those midterm periods, 3 to 6 months, to get those more aggressive interest rates. And then your your 6 to 12 month, you can lock that up in USDC or short term bond ETFs. That way you can maximize and get the most out of your savings.
Indeed. So Jalen, man, I actually
Yes,
got a
sir.
question for you next
What's your
before we get
question,
into the
man?
next topic, man. I got two questions for you actually. All right. I'm gonna ask them both at the same time. Number one, what's one thing that you love about black people? And number two, what's one thing that you hate about the black community?
I think he was going. Once I heard that first question, I said, "This thing about tax what I hated and what I love." What do I love about black people, man? What's not to love about the black people, man? Honestly,
You about to tell me?
honestly, I think that the resilience of black people, how we've been downtrodden for so many years, but we're still here. We still are able to smile. We're still able to band together whenever it's necessary. We might not always do it all the time, but also how you can meet a black person, specifically a black American, from one side of the country, and you can have social norms or you can have shared experiences that you both can talk about. You've never met each other, but it's just a part of the black experience. Like, oh nigga, my grandma, all of us had the same cup. Or we all had this lamp. Oh, we all
had the same couch.
we all had the same comforter set. It's something that across the black experience we can all share these same thoughts,
Them
right?
FUBU jerseys, dog.
It's just something where it's like you can have the same. You necessarily haven't lived the same life, but you can have the same shared experiences. That's one of the things that I love. I love, once again, our ability to be comedic and joyous in times of, like, traumatic. I like the laughing through the pain type of thing. Like, it hurts, but sometimes somebody gonna make a joke and you're gonna be like, you know what, this might be not the best situation, but nigga, that shit was funny. Like, I love that part. What do I hate or what do I not like about black people? I don't know, man, because
I hate my gums because they black.
my guns ain't black.
I forget the whole quote.
I don't know. That's a hard one to talk about what I hate because, once again,
Or black culture, not people, the culture.
okay, black culture. What do I not? I'm not gonna say I don't hate it. What do I not like about black culture? That's a good question. Damn, that's a good question. I guess the stigma or the thing in black culture where everybody has to be quote unquote gangster, or you have to have this hard facade to you, or the fact that if you are educated or you like to read or anything like that, that's considered nerdy. All of those negative stigmas.
You lame.
Yeah,
A
you're lame.
cornball.
Yeah, if you're excelling in school, those type of things. Those are probably parts that I don't like the most. I'm trying to think about what else.
I mean, you answer my question. You know what I'm saying? So turning that same light back on me. One thing I will always love about black people, the culture, man. We just fucking cool. Call it like it is, man. Black folks cooler than other folks. Like, it's just the natural wavelength folks operate at is like it's mimicked for a reason. It's something that we've been America's biggest export as a cultural thing. Like, black entertainment is America's biggest export. Not all these products and shit like that. The culture of America stems from black people. So we just cool. I think that's my favorite thing is, like, despite all those things, like you mentioned, the resilience, all that stuff, like, it's just a natural coolness. You see, like, videos of, it's not just a black American thing. Like, black people across the globe. It's just diaspora. Niggas just cool, man. I love it. I love that part about black culture. Black people. Now, what I don't like, that shit I don't like, that's that shit I don't like is the glorification of entertainment as the only viable option for us to succeed, and the types of entertainment that we glorify as a culture, like Zeus Network, Tyler Perry movies. It's a lot of bullshit that we champion a lot of bullshit. What we call hood movies, hood classics, right? The same thing you just speaking to, the street nigga shit. Every fucking hood classic is just street nigga shit. Every one of them. It's not a shared experience that every black person actually goes through. It is all mostly street nigga shit or abuse or trauma or bullshit. We highlight and only show ourselves and want to see ourselves in a lot of bullshit. And I think that's my biggest issue with the culture, is that we don't willingly and openly love ourselves. And I think that's out of fear. I think that's out of fear that whenever we do it, we receive backlash. So it's almost like we get into this self-deprecating shit, where it's like you were talking about, no matter how bad it is, we still find a way to find humor in it. It's kind of self-deprecating though, because it's like we make light of shit that shouldn't be funny because we scared to love ourselves out loud like everybody else do. And not like in a symbolic way, like I mean like a for real way. Like, no, we standing on that. Like, we love us. We fuck with us. This is why I'm racist. This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. This is why. This is why. This is why I'm hot.
Anyway, what is the next topic, man?
Okay, man. So, one big beautiful bill or one big load of bullshit. Let's talk about it, man. So you know what I'm saying, dog. Your boy, the Orange Man, he back at it again. Congress back at it again.
Big
the
teasing.
One big beautiful bill. It's been talk of the news cycles.
Shit.
Big things that they've been talking about with this is, this being one of the big things that Donald Trump wants to drive home, and a lot of the Project 2025 provisions and campaign promises that he was made are supposed to be wrapped into this one big beautiful bill act, as they're calling it. But as I said, is it one big beautiful bill or one big load of bullshit? Let's get into it and see. So first thing, the main thing with this is that this would make the tax cuts from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent. So those are actually set to expire at the end of this year. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, what it did was cut the corporate tax rate from 35% down to 21%, and it also gave tax breaks to just about every American income, I think, except for the highest earners. I think they stayed at like 39%. But everybody else fell like 2 to 3% in their thing. I think the lowest income strata went from like 15% down to 11, and then it went from like 25 down to 22, and yeah, so on and so forth, right? Everybody, like I said, 2 to 4%, the lower you were, the more percentage. They're trying to essentially, instead of letting that expire, they want to keep that going. So that sounds good for us, right? Americans, lower taxes. Woo, woo, yeah, less taxes. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like paying taxes. I really don't. I think every American don't like paying taxes.
Right.
Hindsight is 2020. The Revolutionary War was started over like a tea tax that was like less than 1%. And they out here.
Niggas went go fuck up the Boston Harbor, nigga.
They stood on business about that percent.
About that tea, nigga. Bitch, we ain't playing with y'all.
What was it? Taxation without representation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we ain't rocking with it. And I get it. It's the principle, right? But we taxed way more than that now, is kind of what I'm getting at. But, right, so other things that the goal of this whole Tax Cut and Jobs Act was, lower income tax rates across most tax brackets, nearly doubled the standard deduction. It eliminated some of the personal exemptions that people were taking advantage of. It also is putting a cap on the SALT tax, which is like a state and local tax deduction, which is at $10,000. So that's what they're trying to do with part of the one big beautiful bill is I'm just call that bitch the BB. I ain't got time to keep saying that shit. OBB. OBB. OGG. Yeah. So the OBB, they capping that salt tax, which for people in high state tax states, that's gonna negatively affect them. They're gonna have to end up paying more taxes because they can't deduct as much. And with the doubling of the standard deduction, that means it's harder for those people that itemize to actually cross that threshold. So kind of trying to level the playing field for people at the lower brackets, right? But one thing we know for certain, and if you've been listening to the show
That
for
shit
a while,
sound good, man. What's the real deal, nigga? What is these niggas really trying to get accomplished, man?
So, one of the big things that they ran on, and I just want to point out, was that they was talking about no taxes on tips and overtime. So that shit is actually in the bill, right? That's like the thing that, they was championing is going fucking save so many Americans money and whoop-de-whoop. But get this, right? All them changes I just told you about for the taxes and the corporations and all that shit, the tax brackets, that's permanent. But that tax tips and overtime shit is for like 3.5 years. So it would expire in like 2028. Which is insane. Because to me, it's like, it's really that this is trickle down economics all over again. We basically, all right, in 2017, we gave corporations a tax break. What the fuck has happened since then?
Them niggas been making more and more fucking money, been hitting record earnings, record fucking profits and everything like that.
Stocks going up. That's the reason we tell everybody we need to own stocks. But wages have been fucking stagnant. They not trying to pay people more. They keep saying they can't afford to pay people more. Man, we can't afford to pay people more. We can't afford to pay people more. So while it may sound good, we get a small tax break, the biggest tax break is still on the corporation side.
Mm-hmm.
On the personal side, people got 2 to 4%. Corporations got a fucking 14% cut. And this crazy. Is C corps, not like most small businesses.
These are the businesses that's big businesses like
big
Facebook, Microsoft.
Yes. Well, I'm not talking about small business owners.
A lot of these Wall Street companies.
I'm not talking about small business owners that own like a S corp or a partner LLC. No, this is not those people. Their deduction is actually a lot less than what these corporations get. Yeah, so what they were getting under the TCJA was a 20% deduction on qualified business income. So they didn't have to pay taxes on 25% of the disbursements that they gave to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's good. But when you think about the levels of money that you're playing with here, a small business owner ain't bringing in what Apple bringing in.
Hell no.
Like Apple's a fucking $1 trillion company, and they've been giving us the same fucking phone for a generation. Like for 10 years now, we've been getting the same phone.
Brother.
And we're giving them tax breaks not to innovate. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I say it's trickle down economics all over again, because what it will just create is another situation where we keep seeing money funneling to the top and people not really getting it. So realistically, as we said about a month ago, just continue to buy damn stock. I can't realistically say from a policy standpoint I see this being reversed anytime soon. We're in a red sweep right now. This first version of the bill did barely pass the House. It's worth noting that it passed on a vote of like 215 to 214. So it was like a slim majority.
Yeah.
So
just one
maybe
person,
it won't pass the Senate.
And
I don't have a lot of faith.
And revise it.
They may revise it, but the tax side of it is what I focused on. But I know it's more shit in there, and I need to dive into it more.
The one thing I want to talk about with the tips and the overtime and everything is what you were talking about. Someone was saying on the internet, like about how these CEOs or how these people, where they'll reduce how much they're actually paying themselves, or like the paying themselves on the front end and just make it up on the overtime to where they're not taxed on the overtime, or they're not taxed on these bonuses or these tips. They just funnel it and work the system to where they can get around not being taxed on some of their income.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing. I gotta remember that CPA, us an Asian CPA on YouTube. He was breaking it down. It was like, they just basically they can, if you run your own company, you can finesse. Like you can say you're working 80 hours of overtime, log that time in, and I mean, you're lowering your taxable income significantly while making a shit ton of money. You can't really go wrong with that.
Facts.
Can't really go wrong with that. But other things that's in this bill, right? Just wanted to kind of mention a few more things. Big things, cuts to social programs, cuts to Medicaid, cuts to SNAP. Those are gonna also obviously affect, the lowest income people, or that lowest quintile of income. They're trying to help regulate AI. That's part of it as well.
I did see that. Yeah. They
So
want
that's I'm not opposed to
the
that. We need some
deep
fucking
fake and
guardrails on that
the
shit.
deep
We need some
fake.
guardrails on that shit.
And I know one of them was like the revenge porn and all of that shit through the deep fakes and everything. Like you said, I'm agreeing with we need some regulation on some of those things for sure.
Now, some concerning shit. They're trying to limit the judiciary branch's power.
Wait a minute. What you mean?
So the bill includes language that blocks funding for enforcing contempt of court orders, which could impact, accountability in the government. So say like they charging people at contempt of court, who's holding them accountable for it, They can kind of we've kind of been going down that that route, Trump is definitely a pseudo dictator type nigga. He really, really admires dictators. I don't think America's going for that shit. I will stand and maintain on that. I do not believe America's going for that shit. But he definitely shows a lot of those tendencies. So that's just another step in that direction that makes me like, he already a felon. He already didn't pardon himself of his crimes, and yeah.
Yeah,
we
this
going on the
nigga's
slippery
pardoning
slope.
a lot of people too right now too. This nigga pardon NBA YoungBoy.
You know what's a conversation I was having, bro, with somebody
What's that?
earlier? The only reason the Republicans really won this election is because they're way better at marketing than the Democrats.
That's what everybody said, bro. It's not even just the market. It's the people that they selected to speak on their behalf, like the people that they were able to get influence. Yeah,
It's just marketing, bro.
Yeah,
It's marketing. At the end of the day, they know how to get their message across to their target audience. Them putting, like, okay, so let's think about their relationship to our rappers and shit like that. They exonerating and freeing the problematic niggas that we love. The other side is championing people that we were divided about already.
you said it, not me.
I mean, I'm just it's division, is it not? Everybody love Kodak Black, problematic ass. Fucking on a dyke, I'm in love. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas love Kodak. I done see Kodak be 12 different people since this nigga been famous.
You're right. Kodak does just have that connection to people. Once again, even the young boy, or like whenever Trump went up to New York and got Chef G, or he went to Detroit, got Trick. He went to all of these places and got people that were connected, people that had influence, and like you said, people that we weren't divided upon. Whenever you talked about that, I immediately thought about Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion is such a polarizing person.
Exactly.
You either love her or you hate her. And a lot of people just was like, why the fuck she up there shaking her ass?
Basically. And to me, I think when it comes to the Democratic Party, they're really at their core, white liberals, right? Let me get my shit off. Let me get my shit off real quick. At their core, they're white liberals, right? So the people that they are trying to market to, they don't have the diversity on the interior to actually get their message across to those people the right way. That's why it come across as offensive to me. Like, you keep choosing the wrong people to put up here. You put up Quavo, Cardi B, and fucking Meg. Like, you know what I'm saying? These are not the fucking political niggas. When Ice Cube was up there talking about shit, that's the nigga you grab. You know what I'm saying? Like that, or we don't really have many political leaders because in our community, a lot of times we idolize athletes and entertainers, but the quality of which they're getting them in and the position that they're putting these people in is not an advantageous one. You're getting them to speak on issues that they're really not equipped. Speaking of preparation, these people were never prepared for this. This is not what they do in practice. You turning Quavo into a activist for gun violence reform? Nah, man.
Have you never heard a Quavo song?
Have you ever heard a Quavo song? He the reason Take dead.
Oh, fuck.
Let's
Damn,
keep
David.
it a beat. You seen the video?
I
Everybody
did.
seen the video. He was the nigga mad. Take off in this bitch chilling. Now he a gun violence advocate. No, you're picking the wrong people. You're getting the wrong people to get your message across, and it's not coming across as genuine to the people you really trying to get, which were those middle of the crowd people.
I do have a question. So the thing that I was going to say, do you feel like would have been critical of either person that they would have picked in any way, just like a Democrat person?
Oh, 100%.
Do you feel like even if they went go get the right people, I still feel like we would have been critical of them? Because let's say they would go get Kodak Black or Biden pardon Kodak Black or something, right? Like, you just gonna look at them as, oh, you're just using them as a token nigga.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the other part of the marketing that the Republicans do better is the rage baiting shit. They're really good at that.
But I ain't gonna lie, all the Democrats really needed to do go get Kai Cenat, go get I Show Speed, go get some of these other people.
Bro, the kids will keep talking about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're grabbing the wrong niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying about it. But I'm telling you, the other part is they're really good at the other side is really good at going into people's what's the word I'm looking for? Prejudices. They're good at speaking to people's natural prejudices. Because a lot of what they ran on was like anti-trans stuff. They kept talking about you don't want boys and girls sports.
The division. You're pinpointing on the division. How can you divide and how can you show that, hey, this is what is so infuriating, or once again, it's so polarizing that you're either going to be all in or all against it. But once again, marketing, their marketing team definitely shitted on the Dems.
Yeah, I mean, my bad, y'all. We done went on a whole tangent. Of a couple other things that's in that damn bill, real quick. Rolling back on green energy. You know, they've been saying global warming was fake for a decade now. So that's par for the course for the right side, or not the right side, you know what I'm saying? The right conservatives, whatever the fuck you want to call them. And then changes to student loans. So they planning on modifying some of the repayment programs, and there's a potential to have increased costs to borrowers, which again is hilarious because the dismantling of the Department of Education. However, the expectation is, my nigga, I'm gonna need that money. You know what I'm saying? And I just find it hilarious that we really was waiting on our student loans to be forgiven. And they done hit the goddamn Uno reverse card. Gotcha, bitch. Yeah. You ain't been making them payments. I need that money. I'ma need that money,
not
big
bullshitting
dog.
with that.
Yeah.
I did also hear, I don't think this is a part of this bill, but I did hear that they're also thinking about putting a limit on Supreme Court justices. Because, you know, once they're
need to.
Yeah, so, you know, once they're sworn in, they're in there for life. So they are talking about putting a limit on how long they can serve.
Bro, hear the most wild shit with Supreme Court justices. You know they can't get charged for taking bribes?
I know, nigga. I'm tired
That-
of these niggas.
That bust my head. So they made an announcement. The law was like in 1975 that judges couldn't take bribes, 75 or 79. But I was watching a clip where they talk about the broadcast of it. Like, and it like they specifically said all local, state, federal judges, with the exception of the Supreme Court, cannot take bribes. I was like, wow. So the niggas in the highest court, you can really buy them. And it's nothing. You can
That's
buy them
fucked
and it's
up, man.
nothing.
It's America, nigga. It's pay to play, nigga. You want this visa, this golden Trump visa, $5 million. You can have it.
Man.
I'm just saying.
Man.
High is bitter. Niggas shaking ass. Hell yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about in this big, beautiful bill, man?
Man, I just want to add this one thing. So the Bipartisan
again,
Policy
big
Center,
bullshit.
yeah, I think just kind of illustrating and putting really home, the type of savings and tax savings and implications that it really had. So the Bipartisan Policy Center found that middle income individuals, people earning between 100 and 200,000, they actually did receive like 76% of the total tax reductions. So, not the lower 2/3. So for the purposes of the census, they break us up into quintiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
For income. So that's like 5 out of 100% of people. So the people in the middle quintile, 3 out of 5, they're the ones that saw the bulk of those. So those bottom 2 quintiles, they didn't really see a lot of the savings that the people with more money saw.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, just to illustrate the point, trickle down economics, right? That's what it is, because the people who saw the greatest decrease were top earners still. People earning over 500,000 annually are who saw the largest tax savings. So it's all a big load of bullshit. They make it sound good. They're really good at marketing. But what it really means is if this passes in its current state, it's going to make shit harder for people on the bottom. And yeah, that's not what we're looking for here.
One of the last things I want to talk about in the bill is that SALT shit that they keep on talking about, which is state and local tax, which I think is about to be very, very interesting, because some governors are actually for it. Some governors are saying, hey, this is going to make states more competitive. This is going to allow us to attract more people to our states. Some people are like, it's now loosening the restrictions that you have to have in order to get federal funding and stuff like that. So some people are for it, whereas some people are saying, hey, we need this funding so we can help our citizens of our states and everything too. So yeah, whenever they're talking about SALT, that is state and local tax, and basically that is cutting the funding from a lot of these federal programs and pushing it off to the states and these local governments to actually take responsibility of these things. So one of the big things that they keep on talking about, Section 8, the housing and everything like that, shifting it from a federal program to a state and local government program.
We got Reagan 2.0 before we got GTA 6. God damn. This is crazy.
Just saying,
Pushing shit back to the states. States like Louisiana are so cooked, bro. They so fried.
Hey, man.
Falling off the bone.
We ain't gonna talk about our state like that, man. Speaking of states, I do want to end on a high note. This has nothing to do with the bill, but just ending on a high note as states. I saw recently read Norfolk, Virginia is offering $60,000 towards a down payment and closing costs on a home that will be fully forgiven if you live in that property for 10 years.
I knew 10 years was going to be the number. I knew 10 years. They want to keep you around for a decade.
Hey, but a decade, you get 60 bands of
toward a home. Yeah, that's good. That's really a good program.
Like you basically could probably get it for free, and then you live there for 10 years and the property value goes up. What's the hurt?
Yeah. And now that's why I'm shaking my head with the fucking economy thing we just talked about with the whole big beautiful bill. Because the lady was trying to give us money to buy houses. Kamala was trying to give us money to
She
buy
was.
houses. She tried to give credit. And like those types of programs definitely will increase home ownership because access to capital is the big thing. But
Y'all might catch your boy out in Norfolk. You feel me?
I don't know, man. You know, the Texas market actually, you said that to me recently, switched
Yeah.
over to a buyer's market. A few major real estate markets have switched over to buyer's
Which I
markets.
low key want to get Henry or somebody real estate on just to
Yeah.
kind of talk about that.
I think we need to get a realtor, maybe a couple realtors.
Yeah. I think
realtors.
one realtor and one investor, just because they look at real estate from two different lenses.
Okay. Maybe even a lender too.
I'm down. We can hit up Matt.
Fuck it, let's do it. Y'all let us know if y'all want to hear that, man. Let's do like a what's going on in the real estate market. Maybe even bring on an influencer. Get our boy Sam on here too. Let's have a fucking round table.
Fuck it, let's do it. Hey, if
y'all
y'all want to hear that, if y'all want us to get a round table of different individuals within real estate, y'all want us to get us an investor, a broker, a real estate agent, and like a influencer that is probably within the same space, y'all let us know. Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comments. Drop it.
Send us an email.
Yeah.
I want an email, man.
Yeah, email us.
Podcast at blackwolfrenaissance.com.
Once
How you
again,
spell
that is
Renaissance?
podcast at blackwealthrenaissance.com.
RENAISSANCE.
Nigga, just look at your phone, nigga. You listening to this. Look
Hey,
at
man.
it.
Listen, some people be typing. I be feeling, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to just spell it for you. Spell it out, make it plain. But
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yes, sir. Last thing before we get out of here, I did just want to mention one thing. We were talking about some financial tools and things that you can use to build wealth. One thing and a tool that I think is very often overlooked in our community is annuities. Annuities are deferred, an agreement, a contract where you put in a lump sum or pay monthly, and it's a contract for deferred payments at a set time and date that you set up with an insurance company. So the beauty of annuities is that you can take some money, you can put it away for some time, and whenever you're older, you got money that's going to just be paying you on like clockwork, right? So the most famous story that everybody knows about is Allen Iverson, right? But it's another brother in athletics, and I was wondering if you knew about this because you're a baseball guy. You ever heard of Bobby Bonilla Day?
Hell no.
So Bobby Bonilla was a player for the Mets, right? Like back in the early 2000s. And in like 2005, he had a contract that was for like $5.9 million. And his agent negotiated that instead of paying him up front, that they were going to put it in an annuity at an 8% interest rate and defer payments until 2011.
Damn.
So how much money do you think he gets paid annually from that annuity? So it's going to pay him from 2011 to 2035.
How much did he put in there?
$5.9 million.
So he put 5.9 in there.
He put 5.9 in 2005 at an 8% interest rate and didn't get his first payments until 2011.
So it's quite not for 10 years.
And the beauty, while Jalen's thinking of this, the beauty of this, right, guys, think about this. If he was in the stock market at the time, he got fucking crushed. But if he's in like a fixed index annuity, where you get the set percentage at like just based on the contract, regardless of market performance, he still earned 8% on that 5.9 mil every year until 2011 when he got his first disbursement.
I'm gonna say a year he gets paid like between. You said it's dispersing from 2011 to when?
2035. So for 24 years.
Probably making about 600 to 800K a year.
That's a good guess. So every year, July 1st, Bobby Bonilla gets paid $1.19 million by the Mets.
Damn.
And he hasn't played ball in 20 years. Well, almost 2 decades.
God damn. Nigga said that's a good guess. Nigga, I was way off.
Nigga, you was closer. You said like close to 800K. You like 300K off. I think that's pretty decent, man. You know what I'm saying? But so all in all, right, it turned $5.9 million to, by the time, you know, he receives all his payouts at the end of 2035, he'd have gotten damn near 30 mil, 29.8 mil out of that 5.9 mil.
Damn.
So like on a smaller scale, right? That's on a big scale. That's Bobby Bonilla, $1 million deal. But if you a person that came up on like 10, 15, 20K, I was just talking to a insurance broker the other day. She was telling me, as a young lady, a client of hers, 20K, she came up on it like from a life insurance policy somebody left her. She put it in a deferred annuity. She's like 25. It's going to give her her first payments whenever she's like, I think 40. By that time, the balance is projected to be 300K.
And she only put, you said 20K in?
Not 40. Not by the time she's 40, in 40 years. So by the time she's 65.
Gotcha.
20K would be 380K.
That's still not bad, nigga.
20K to 380? You know what I'm saying? And this isn't your only vehicle. This is just your forever money, part of it. You still got a stock portfolio. You still investing. You can buy real estate, buy a home. You can still run a business.
Another thing annuities is good for is like people who are about to retire. They want to roll over from a 401k or Roth IRA or something like that, and you want to ensure that you're going to have cash for the rest of your life. You can set it up to where you can take that money, you can put it in that annuity, and live off of that cash for the rest of your life till it annuitizes and pretty much runs out too. Indeed. Oh, and another good thing about annuities is if the annuity outlives you, if you pass before the
beneficiary,
yeah, you have a beneficiary, and all the money goes to them.
And I think they have the choice to either start taking the payments immediately or roll it into an annuity of their own.
It depends on how much time I think is left on it.
Shit. Because I know you can roll an annuity into an annuity. You can't. So you can roll I think you can roll a policy into an annuity, like a whole life policy into an annuity, but you can't do it the other way around. I'm gonna have to go back and read through it.
You can't go from an annuity to a policy.
Yeah. But if you guys are actually interested in a tool like that, you do know Jalen and myself are licensed insurance agents, and we have the team of Chosen Agency backing us up. So if you're interested in that, get with us. We can definitely help you guys out in getting something to help secure your wealth, right? We talked about a lot of things in this episode about saving, about the mindset of building wealth, that mindset of, the instant gratification versus that delayed gratification. And if you're a person who really wants to build something for your community, build something for your family, a legacy, this is one of the easiest and first ways to start is through life insurance, using things and leveraging tools like annuity contracts or the different savings vehicles that we mentioned earlier. These are all things that you can do to make sure you're giving the next generation a leg up instead of letting your money sit dead and lose value, because inflation is that wealth killer. And if you ain't making your money grow, that bitch going away slow.
Facts. Little by little.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. Well, I think that's a good way to end this thing, wrap this thing up, David.
Yes, indeed.
You got anything else you want to hit on? Any other topics you want to touch?
No, man, that's all the topics I wanted to get into today. I just want to always thank the beautiful listeners of our show, the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, y'all make sure y'all leave us that 5-star rating and review. We need that. We need that to continue to grow the show, get this message out to people. People have been telling us they've been feeling it. We done brought back the vibes from the beginning of the show. We dropping y'all some interviews every now and again. Like we just mentioned earlier, y'all want that round table, shoot us an email. We love to hear from you guys. It really puts the battery in our back. It keeps us going on this mission to make sure we're getting this education and information out to the people. So that's my spiel, man. Love y'all. What you got for the people, Jalen?
Hey man, once again, I just want to say thank y'all. Thank y'all for being with us. If you're a day one listener, thank you for always being there. If you're a first time listener, welcome to day one. We hope that you stick around and keep on growing with us. Y'all know how we end this thing. We're going to end with a prayer. So I'm just going to say, God, please bless me. Give me a great message. We just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to wake up, to still have breath in our body, to allow us to go ahead and be active, be proactive, and go out and do the things that we need to do, which is be prepared for whenever those opportunities come, making sure that we're taking care of our bodies, making sure that we're taking care of our minds, we're taking care of our families, we're being a good steward of our currency, a good steward of our money, a good steward of our talents that you blessed us with as well. We just ask that you continue to allow us to keep on growing financially, spiritually, mentally as well. We ask that you just protect everybody, cover them in the blood. And until next time, I'm sorry, not until next time. In Jesus' name, amen. Peace.
Amen, amen, and amen. That boy about to close us out without giving a shout out to the big man upstairs. Shout out to God. You feel
Yes,
me?
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But no, like Jalen said, y'all, man, y'all stay black, stay beautiful, stay wealthy, and until next time, this is BWR signing out. Peace.
Yeah.